if something is going well, you don't notice it. There's reasons for that. We're trained to notice problems because that might be the threat that kills us. The people who didn't see the tiger's face in the bush were the ones that didn't survive. So ancestrally, we've been eliminated to follow this line of people that recognized the threats and survived them. It's kind of funny how that works, but I think it also demands that we turn our attention the other way and actually practice noticing what's going well, noticing what's going right, practicing appreciating it. There's a lot of literature to back this up, and it's maybe sometimes a little bit trite and it sounds a bit overworn, but the feeling that you can get from just noticing what there is to be grateful for is really something that can start to prime you for your day ahead. So we're going to take a little bit of a look at that today. However you're showing up today, we'll work through this stuff and we'll just see what there is we can find to be grateful for. Notice what you're bringing today. Notice where you are, what's in the body. All these potentially uncomfortable sensations, things that might not match with our ideal idea, our perfect idea of what life should be. And what that means is what we want life to be. We start to conflate our ideas of what we want life to be with how life should actually be. And we're picking a fight with reality. Because life is exactly what it is. And just because we think it should be a different way, it doesn't need to respond to that. It's okay to want things. It's okay to want things to be a different way. And let those desires come out, but recognizing that there perhaps isn't an entitlement to those wants. That life is how it is. Us wanting what we want is also part of that, and it's okay. And there are things that we can do to take steps, take action towards showing up to service, and that we can create, that we have some power and agency with life. Just helpless victims to life. Although that can be a space that we can occupy from time to time. To be shut down, to conserve energy, to come up with narratives that justify that. It can be that that particular feeling is good at meeting a specific need. When I'm helpless, people support me. And it's a good thing to sometimes recognize that can happen, that there is goodness in people. Support is something that most people want to do when they're not wound up so tight in their own trauma and states of dysregulation, when they have capacity. That the majority of people would want to help. And also at the same time noticing that using helplessness as a strategy over the long term, and it could be completely unconsciously. It's not to shame or blame anyone or anything, that our system has found a way to get a need met and is utilizing that way, doing what it does best, finding ways. As we can make that conscious, slowly start to let go of some of that helplessness and find our own sense of agency and power with life. And just begin to notice that, and just begin to notice what there is around us that we could be genuinely grateful for. It doesn't have to negate whatever kind of pain or suffering that we're in. It doesn't have to displace it. It doesn't have to be in competition with it. Also, it can be a space, a backdrop, holding container for everything that's going on. This and that, not this or that. And if we can learn to dilate our focus a little bit, to notice all of the things that work and all of the things that are okay, and what we can appreciate about them, we might start to feel that sense of power return to us, a power with life rather than a power over it. Might start to help us feel settled in our systems, which is when all of that energy that was stuck might start to become a little more liberated. Start tapping just around the chest. There's so much to be grateful for. Doesn't always feel that way. There's so much crazy stuff going on in the world. Maybe there's so much crazy stuff going on in my life. Sometimes it's really difficult to find things to appreciate. Because the world just doesn't do what I want it to do. All of the things I think about, all of the things I dream of, I want the world to be exactly how I want it to be. And a lot of the times it's not. A lot of the times it is exactly how it is. how that is means that I suffer greatly. There really are some pains that are unavoidable. But so much of my suffering comes from the disparity between how I think life should be and how life actually is. And when I invest heavily in my fantasies and delusions about how life should be, that gap creates pain. And that pain feels really real. And I generate suffering. Because I can't accept reality. I can't accept reality as it is. And that might be the story that I tell myself. In order to protect myself from pain. That I can't accept reality. But deep down, a part of me knows that the only way to deal with reality is to first accept it. First receive it fully and properly, to open myself to it, to let myself experience it, and allow all of its information to move through me, so I can synthesize it and figure out an appropriate response. All of these words and all of my conclusions, all of my thoughts, all of my feelings, all of these difficulties, I'm willing to be open. I'm willing to let myself feel. And a part of me might even be willing to show up with appreciation. Because it might just be that what's happening now is part of a much bigger narrative and a much bigger unfolding than I could possibly comprehend. And I get to be part of that. And sometimes that really sucks. But I'm also aware that appreciation has power. The power to transform. And a part of me really wants that power. Even though it might feel that I'm too attached to all my pain and suffering. I might have all my stories about it and think that I can't let it go. It might be meeting a deep need inside of me. And that's really okay. I'm not here to blame or shame myself. I really just want to understand. And I know that there will be a reason. It's just that that reason might be outside of my conscious comprehension. That doesn't mean it's not there. Just because I can't see it. So maybe I'd be willing to trust before I know all the answers. To assume that there are things to know about my situation and about the world that I don't already know, and soften the edges of my model of reality to start to include things that I might not have previously known. I could be willing to do all of that. And I could be willing to appreciate that if I did know these things, maybe I wouldn't feel so upset. If there was a proper context for my pain, and it was okay to feel it, and it was allowed, and I didn't have to fight it, and I laid down my arms and started to turn my attention towards appreciation first. Maybe that might help me open in ways that could better help me understand and better help me digest the reality that I'm going through. So I might be willing to be grateful. That doesn't negate my pain. That's not me trying to suppress what I'm feeling. But actually the opposite. I'm willing to invite it in. And appreciate that I have a body that can send me these signals, that tries to warn me, that tries to look after me, that tries to protect me with all of these different responses, that does the best it can with the information it's got. And if I soften the lens of my mind just ever so slightly, I might start to begin to see the miracles that are right here. There's so much happening in my body that I don't even have to think about. The way it pumps blood, the way it digests food, the way all of the organs work together. It's quite incredible. I didn't have to organize any of that. It just did it by itself. The way that it heals, the way that it takes care of things that I couldn't even imagine. It does so much. And it exists within a space that also does so much. Because the truth is, right here, right now, if I'm watching this video, there might be a lot about my life that I don't like. But at the very base level, I'm still breathing. The air works with my lungs and with my body. The ground supports me. Gravity keeps me on the planet. Plants grow food for me. Other people create products and services. That I can also utilize. There might be a lot of predatory activity. And that is true about nature. That predators exist. And that predatory spirit is something that probably also exists within me. Because it's part of nature. It's part of the animal kingdom. It's part of what nature does. It creates and consumes. It tricks and deceives. But there's also so much joy. And so much goodness that's available to me when I start to turn my conscious attention to that goodness and that joy. Things that I could do. Even small things, like taking another breath. And I know that things could be so much worse. That doesn't mean that I'm not suffering. It just means that things can get way worse. And if I can take myself there as a thought exercise and get beneath my own suffering, feasibly there's a situation where I could be grateful for what I have right now. If I'd experienced something so much worse than what I have right now, and then experienced what I have right now, the chances are I would be really grateful for it. There are always much bigger problems that I could have. And keeping that close can help me appreciate what I have. And appreciating what I have might even act as a key to unlock the door for having more. So I'm willing to start now. Willing to train my brain to put conscious attention on all the things it can be grateful for. To put conscious focus on things that are going well and right. And as I start to notice those, my system can gently start to release all of the survival stress that it's been accumulating to try to protect me. I can handle more than I think I can. I'm tougher than I think. It might not always feel that way, but that's okay. And life might be kind of crazy, and I might not know what's going on, but I'm going to choose to be grateful first. Choose to set my gratitude ahead of me and use it to pull me forward. I'll appreciate first and see how that feels, and let it open me to reveal the path ahead. Thank you to my body. Thank you to my brain. Thank you to my heart. Thank you to my organs. Thank you to my limbs. Thank you to my nervous system. Thank you to all this survival energy, trying its best to protect me. Thank you for this pain, even though I don't currently understand it. I know there's something to be grateful for. I know I can be grateful for this. And as I start to thank it for showing up, it can start to reveal the gifts that it's here to bring me. Thank you for these feelings. Thank you for these thoughts. Thank you for this life. And thank you for this love. Hand on belly, hand on chest. Notice where you are now. I would say that that's something that really relates to my experience, that what you're given, the keys to unlock that can be to throw that gratitude ahead and be grateful for it first without knowing why. There's some kind of humility and trust and appreciation. It's a very powerful energy to let life give you what it needs to give you. And it's also the case that it can be quite painful when it gives you some things that's like a big, intense offering that life is going to maybe throw in your lap. And as you start to soften to that and kind of learn to receive it more, that's when you can really start to extract what's good from it. I mean, you see this countless times. People have a crisis and it's like life knocking on the door and telling them that they need to reevaluate their perspectives, that they need to decompose all of their ideas and beliefs that they were holding on to, that was keeping life too rigid in their minds and in their systems. And through those painful experiences can come a real recalibration towards what's really important in life, and help you burn off the dead wood and get rid of the dead weight and just focus on, okay, I need to really do this. And having that focus is where life starts to really unfold for you. And so taking it as this is for me, not to me, from to me to for me, and then for others. So the wounds that I get, the pain that I have is the way that I can pour back my offering into the world, that I can give back what it is that I'm here to give. And so there is like a necessity in some ways to be wounded by life in order that it shapes you and gives you a vessel to give back into the world through. And that's what becomes then the purpose and the meaning of your life, is to give back through that shape. I find that idea so powerful, because so much of what we struggle with is meaninglessness and not having a proper meaning to our lives. And if I just want to be happy all the time, it's like, I believe that there is that available, like a general sense, an ambient background sense of happiness, but that purposefulness and making the thing that we need to do the priority, like our life kind of mission and purpose, often comes from our deepest, darkest hurts. It's like, I want to correct this, or I need to do something about this into the world. And I find that meaning is very sustainable. Like it really, there's not going to be time all the time necessarily where you're happy all the time, unless you're a monk and really have devoted your life to training that. But when there is this deeper sense of meaning and purpose, like it allows you to sustain the pain and it helps you to make it through. And I think that is very, very powerful as a motivator for when life does get very hard. You don't just check out and find yourself somewhere dark and dangerous. So hopefully that was a little bit useful today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your comments and feedback and support and things like that. Anything else you want me to cover, you can leave a suggestion below and I will do something about it. But yeah, I appreciate all of you out there. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video.